Voilà. So again, hi Michelle. I think everybody knows you already on our app. Michelle is a career coach. She's a superstar, to be very honest. She had already did an event, a live event with us on Cloudhoods, and it was a very successful event. And she did also a ask the expert on the app session. We had a lot of questions that has been asked. This is why we said let's do another mastermind and masterclass here live. So Michelle is a job search strategist, a career coach, a personal branding coach, and a recruitment expert. So I think now it's the opportunity for you to up-level your career and your game. Ask all the questions that you want to get this interview done or this job in your pocket. You have Michelle. Michelle, I give the floor to you. Yeah.
Thank you so very much for this amazing introduction. I just want to make sure, because when I'm presenting, I cannot see the chat. So can everybody see my presentation?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Amazing. I appreciate the introduction. Since everybody does know who I am, it makes it a little bit easier, but I am a job search strategist, and I'm excited to kind of share my story with everybody of how I got started, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and how this can really help all of you. And I know that we're all here for a reason today, so I'll get started. Brief introduction, and just in case you don't know, I'm a job search strategist and career coach. I specialize in career and job search techniques, job search coaching, and LinkedIn branding. And one of the things that I'm really, really excited about is just an opportunity to partner with other individuals in the industry that have been able to just share such a wealth of knowledge. My goal is to take away the stigma or any assumptions or maybe any fear we have and build some of that confidence, whether it is, like you said, to return to the workforce, up-level your career, or just take it to the next level, or just to create something you never thought was possible. So the way I really want to start today is I want everyone to just, I'm sure you have a piece of paper, but if not, please grab one. And I want to really talk about what your goals and your intentions are to get out of today. I know it's not easy to set aside the time, and especially something that we do for ourselves, but today I really want you to write down, what are your intentions? What do you want to get out of this masterclass? And it's going to be different for each of us. And you don't have to share it, but it's just something that I want you to go back to at the end of this and go, did I get this out of this masterclass? What else do I need? Just to ensure, like you said, that we're providing the right master classes for you guys, and also just supporting you for the future. And then I want you to kind of put something measurable or quantify based on your intentions. I want to have a job by X date, or I want to get a promotion working in a different industry. Really put some information behind that, something quantifiable that allows you to kind of say, okay, I want to do this in the next 3 months. I want to do this in the next 6 months. I just want to just learn something new, and that's it, right? And then just take about another minute. And then what we'll do is I just want a reminder at the end of training from Laura and Nancy. So thank you guys for this opportunity just to teach and to share my knowledge, but also congratulations to you guys. You guys have gotten, you've got an event coming up.
Yeah.
You were just featured. Hold on, I wrote it down. You guys were just featured for She Loves Tech.
Yes. Crossing fingers.
Yes, October 7th. I'm hoping to make it to the Middle East pitch finals to come see you guys. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, congratulations. And at the end of this training, we are going to have a few giveaways. One is a one-on-one coaching session with myself, and the other is 1-year access to all of my online courses for free, and some other ones we're going to give away in about a week or two. So please stay to the end of this training because we got a lot of really cool things coming. Okay, is everybody ready to kind of move forward? We've written our intentions for the day. Nancy, Laura, because I can't see the chat, can you just confirm everybody's kind of...
Oh, yes. Sorry. Everything is confirmed. Thank you so much for the generous giveaway. That was a really good surprise for us as well. We can see the deck, but we can see it in small. I'm not sure you want to do it this or you want to do it full screen. I think it's fine as well. You can, anyone who's, oh, that is perfect. All right, that's
Perfect.
All
All right, thank you. I mean, I don't know about you, but the closer I get older, the more I can't see small letters. So I'll try to make it as big as possible. Okay. All right. So the next thing I want, and this is always something I love to talk to people about, is dreaming. And I know some people go, oh my goodness, like, you know, I'm not going to dream about a new job, but I really want to like unpack this a bit since we're already writing. I want you to list just 3 job titles right now that you currently feel that you're qualified for. Again, you can share them in the chat if you want. You can write them down on the piece of paper, but just have a think of, here's what I know that I'm qualified to do. And the next 3 things that I want you to write about are 3 job titles that you'd love. Now, they don't have to be things you're qualified for. They could be way off in the distance of what you think isn't even possible. But when we start to talk about what got you to where you are now and what is going to get you to where you want to be are 2 completely different things. So for those of you that are looking to re-enter the workforce and you're like, I'm not super passionate about what I used to do, I've got a lot of transferable skills of where I'm headed, let's see if there's a way that I can kind of open your eyes up to a bigger understanding of what you didn't even know was possible. So that's my goal for today and my intention for all of you. Take a sip of my drink and then we'll go to the next one. Now, whether it's the jobs you're looking at that you'd love to do, or the jobs you know that you're qualified to do, or you could separate both, on your own terms, what would this job look like for you? What would your schedule be like? What kind of projects would you do? I work with a lot of moms that want to re-enter the workforce, and they say, for example, I had a woman that I worked with, Karen, she's been out of the workforce for 10 years. She was an interior designer and she wanted to go back to work, but she didn't want to have to miss pickup or her kids' after school activities. And so she said, I want to work 30 to 40 hours a week, but I also don't want to miss those things that are going on with my kids. They still need me there. So I asked her what it looked like and felt like for her. And I explained to her, you can find the right employer or even start your own business that you could actually work to those terms. So we worked on her portfolio. She was an interior architect. She worked on some amazing projects. And she's like, yeah, but that was 10 years ago. And she went on one interview and a partner wanted her to basically run her multi-million-dollar projects after meeting with her. And the other organization she interviewed with, she's now doing interior architecture for a leisure company that creates water parks all over the world. And she is working on her own terms. She's not missing pickup. She got to spend time over the summer traveling and working remotely. So I just want you guys to start thinking that all of these things, the terms, the schedule, the things that are extremely important to you, you can create a career and a life around those things. And I want to kind of share with you how. And then the last thing I want you to think about is list what barriers you believe and what you think are standing in your way. Whether that's grossing up in your skills, you need to up level your certifications, continuing education. Maybe you don't have experience in the industry and you don't know where to start. There's a lot of really great programs. Has anybody ever heard of a returnship? Nancy, can you tell me? I can't see in the chat. Has anybody heard of?
No. You can open, guys, your mics as well, so don't. It's fine. No, for now, and nobody's saying yes. You can put your camera on as well. Feel free.
Yeah, I mean, I've personally seen returnship programs, but most of the time they were in finance, like run by MasterCard or Nestle, or I mean, Nestle is not necessarily finance, but most of the time it was very specific
Sure.
consultancy or finance. So it was not a different kind of returnship programs. Well, at least in the UAE, what I've seen.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know what a returnship is, it's an opportunity for you to re-enter the workforce, working either in a field that you didn't have experience with, or you have transferable skills and can start in something new. So let's talk about how can you create a returnship for you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And not waiting for someone to just offer something. There's also a lot of women's groups that actually support returnships remotely. And there's also opportunities for you to work with Upwork or Fiverr, or maybe potentially you offer a project at maybe a discounted rate just to get that experience and share your project so that you are getting back in the field and have experience, whether it's changing industries or just getting back to work. Or if you currently are established in your career and you're wanting to move forward, what is something you could do with a project that would maybe bridge the gap to get you to where you want to go and get that experience? So returnships are something that we're seeing more of and a lot of support of. And we can talk about the ways that you can build your brand to make that happen. Okay, so stats and figures. I'm just curious, and I love the mics open for this one, because apologies again, I'm gonna probably preach this. I can't see the chat. I'm a Zoom person and we're on Google Meet, so bear with me. How long do you guys think the average job search is in days?
6 months.
Ooh, okay.
I think it takes more than months, not even days. Because
Okay.
I'm in it now, and it's taking. I think it's taking more than 6 months even.
Okay. So the average job search before COVID and after COVID is still 90 days.
Yeah, 3 months.
And I know that sounds like a short period of time, and for some people it sounds like a long period of time. So one of the things I really want you guys to think about is if it's taking you longer than that, we have to bridge the gap of what is the delay and what is the cause of that delay. So we're going to unpack that today so you have a better understanding and feeling of that. The next question I want to ask you guys is, what percentage of key decision makers do you guys think review your LinkedIn profile, if you have one, during the hiring process?
0, because it's algorithm based at the beginning.
Okay.
So no hiring, no decision maker is going to look at your CV until the algorithm picked up your CV or not.
Okay. So on average, are you ready for this? 97% of key decision makers are reviewing your LinkedIn profile during the hiring process. So we went from 0 to 97%. So this was a study that was actually done by LinkedIn, and it was like a 500-page report of what decision makers were making. So key decision makers are going to be your gatekeepers. That could be your recruiters that are deciding if they're going to move forward, moving you forward in the process. So if you have a LinkedIn profile, the best thing that you can do, number one, is make sure that it's open to the public. This allows you to actually have an opportunity on even Google to become relevant and build a brand, and individuals can seek for you there. And then it also helps just simply because I don't know if you guys are aware, but there are opportunities for, and a lot of organizations pay for what's called LinkedIn Lite and LinkedIn Recruiter Lite. And what LinkedIn Recruiter is it's the back end of LinkedIn, whereas a recruiter, we can pay to search and find people. I can search by university. I can search by has worked at this company and now is this company. I can search by titles. I can search by individuals I went to college with. So when a hiring manager has very specific parameters of what they're looking for, it allows us to find what we call that purple squirrel, right? We know purple squirrels don't exist, but hiring managers are like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, and I want this. And so this allows recruiters to find people and market to them. Now with the open to work option on LinkedIn, it will also, if you are open to work or looking, whether that's public or not public, anybody that's paying for access to LinkedIn Recruiter or LinkedIn Lite you will actually become more relevant than people that are not actively seeking opportunities. Now, when we talk about having key decision makers come and look at your LinkedIn profile, part of this is creating a experience for those decision makers. Most people, they see a job, they apply for the job, and then potentially a recruiter is going to go look at not just your LinkedIn profile, but your digital footprint, where you are, what you're doing on social media, because that's going to represent who you are in your personal brand. And then the other thing to just kind of keep in mind with that, to kind of let that marinate a bit, is what could you do to not have it go to a recruiter, to not have them be the gatekeeper, and really take key decision makers, hiring managers specifically, on a journey to plant those seeds of, hey, I'm available. If you need someone like this, I'm your person. So I just want to open your eyes up to the opportunity for where you could build your brand and how to market yourself. And we will unwrap that here in a minute.
Michelle, we have a question from Cynthia. Cynthia, raise her hand. I'm just
Yes.
telling you because you can't see the screen. Go ahead,
Yes.
Cynthia.
Sorry, I don't know if this will be covered later. However, when you're applying for a job and there's 500 applications, so what you are saying now is that the decision maker is going to look at every single 500 application?
So when I talk about a key decision maker, that is going to be obviously your gatekeeper to begin with, which is going to be your recruiter. So what most of you don't know is when you open a position as a recruiter, they have what's called a data management technique. Especially in the United States, or US-owned businesses here in the UAE have to follow that protocol for equal opportunity employment reasons and rules. And I don't know if you guys know, but there's a ton of new rules that are rolling out in this third quarter of 2022 and 2023 to equal and level the playing field here, even in the UAE. And so basically, essentially, they don't have to look at all of those applicants. They might only have to look at the first 25. And if they find the right amount of qualified people, let's say 5 or 10, they don't have to review the rest. So a lot of times, one of the biggest gaps and frustrations is that people apply and apply and apply, and they're not getting seen. So I'm going to show you kind of a little bit how a strategy of how to bridge the gap so that you're not just applying for that job and how you're getting seen. So I'm going to follow this up with a question because I think it will help understand. If the recruiter's not seeing your profile and didn't even get to see your application, do you guys know what % of individuals use LinkedIn once they know a job is open to directly market themselves to a hiring manager? If you could take a guess.
80%?
1%. So they did a huge study. It came out in January, so more recent, right? They said 1% are actually, directly reaching out to hiring manager and doing those extra things. And that's just on LinkedIn. Now, imagine you're a hiring manager and maybe there's 5,000 applicants, which does happen. That's still a lot of messages to get on LinkedIn. So another way that you can differentiate yourself isn't just using LinkedIn. That's a tool to get you to where you need to go, but messaging and have a marketing strategy outside of that through email is going to be the way to get to where you want to go. And using your profile and kind of giving them an experience to see and be a nosy Nelly on LinkedIn is how you're going to start getting seen and bypassing the recruiters. Okay, I hope I've answered your question so far, because I think that kind of clears up how are they going to see you if they don't see your application. Some hiring managers do get access to all the applicants, but a lot of them just don't have the bandwidth to go through all of the applicants unless they're just not happy with the talent pool.
Yeah, because this is why I was confused how 90% review your CV, but actually they only look at 5. So I was a bit confused with that's all.
Yeah, so 90% of key decision makers, once they are made aware of the fact that you are seeking employment with their organization, they're going to see and look on your LinkedIn page. So to clarify that. But again, if you're not in that first set of group of candidates, how can you still market yourself to increase your chances of getting seen on LinkedIn? So I hope that clarifies the question.
Yes, yes. Okay, so the managers actually look on LinkedIn. It's not who they look at. Okay, got it. Thank you.
No, I'm saying when you apply for a job and you come up in their pile of individuals that they're
Of
recruiting,
the 5, yeah.
they're going to look.
They will look. Yes. If you come up in the pile.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay, now I understand the percentage. Okay, now it
So
makes sense.
Perfect. And how can we not rely on that pile?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's just bypass it. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to talk about this must-have trifecta. I live by it, but I want to tell you why. Okay, so when I moved to Abu Dhabi in 2011, I was going to graduate school, and I knew that I wanted to go work for New York University and 2 other organizations at the time. And I was having a really hard time. I got a master's degree, I've attested my diploma, but I didn't have experience in the region, and I kept applying for jobs, and I wasn't getting a response. And I'll never forget this conversation I had with my husband, because he comes home one day and I'm like, I've been applying for like literally 45 days and I've heard nothing, like crickets. I'm like, I am smart, I am sharp. I know that these organizations are missing out. And my husband made a comment to me and it stuck to me forever. And he said, a recruiter that can't recruit. And I don't know if it was the way he said it, but it like hit me in my gut, in my core, because I've always been in the top 5% of performers as recruiters. I'm like, did he just say I can't recruit? And then I thought, well, maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. So then I thought, well, if I was recruiting these hiring managers for a job, I would do this, this, and this. And I thought, I wonder if I do that to market myself to get into these organizations, if it will work. So I used the exact same approach I used to use as a recruiter to get a hold of those purple squirrels, those very hard to find people, and to just get their attention. And I sent an email, I think it was on a Tuesday. I had an interview, I think it was the next day or the day after. Yeah, it was Wednesday. No, this was Wednesday. I had an interview with New York University. And on Thursday, I got a job offer. And that next Sunday, I started work. And I was like, oh, okay, it works. And that's when I started making the suggestion to other people. Fast forward, I moved back to Houston and I built a house, and I kept driving past this huge building. And I told my husband, I'm like, I don't know what they do in that building. And it was Cisco Foods, the world's largest food distribution company. I said, but I'm going to work in that building. And my husband's like, oh yeah, I know you're going to work there. And I did the same approach and it worked. And that's when I really started. I'd been coaching people for years, but that's when I realized I had a method down that was working in different areas, different industry, and different fields. And it came down to these 3 things, which is your personal brand, creating a job search strategy that works for you based on your time, and your interview skills. And I've probably over the years, thousands of people that I've interviewed, and not every single person is really at the par or just nailed an interview. So we'll get into that in a little bit more detail, but I'm going to break these down so that you guys have a better understanding of this. So what is your personal brand? Your personal brand is 2 things, your resume and your LinkedIn profile. Now, if you're an influencer or you have a digital footprint online through Instagram or TikTok or somewhere else, that is also your digital footprint. But the most important things, regardless if you do or do not have a LinkedIn profile, I would highly suggest that you have one, because you can start building your personal brand as an SME to get known, even if you're re-entering the workforce or if you're already established in your career. Worked with a lot of clients that are super passionate. They're directors of marketing for large retail organizations, but they're really excited about fashion. So they are rebranding themselves and posting about fashion and are starting to get interviewed for podcasts. And they're kind of opening those doors to make that transition from retail to fashion for something that they're passionate about. So your personal brand, again, is your resume, and we'll dive into the different types of resumes and your LinkedIn profile and your digital footprint. So this is an ATS-friendly resume. It's very basic, it's boring, no headers, no footers, but it has information that's kind of your day-to-day, and then quantifying your successes. This is really important, and when you would use this would be in an applicant tracking system. An applicant tracking system is what manages online applications, and there are thousands of applicant tracking systems, but the top 10 best applicant tracking systems don't read headers, they don't read footers, they don't read graphics, they don't read text boxes. So having something that's keyword rich will allow you potentially, just like on Google, to score better in an application process. It's not just about you're the 500th one. Sometimes, depending on their data management technique, they might sort by keywords to see who's the best match just based off that to begin with. The next type of resume is called an infographic resume. And this one is, this is not an infographic resume. I copied and pasted the wrong one. This is going to be more like your functional resume, which talks about your relevant skills and then has your professional experience later. This could be for people that are re-entering the workforce or have had multiple gaps in their time that they've been working. And I'm sorry, I don't have an infographic resume. Maybe I can pull it up at the end. But an infographic resume is just usually a one-page, visually sexy resume that talks more about your stats, your numbers. We embed QR codes that take people either to it could be your LinkedIn page. It could also be a portfolio or an introductory video of yourself. And that is something that you would use if you're messaging directly to a hiring manager. And some people say, like, I have a 2 or 3 page resume. It's really great, but I'm afraid somebody is not going to read it. So you could start with an infographic with a QR code that takes them to the longer version of your CV and kind of takes them on the journey. And the goal is to obviously to get them on your radar, but also to make sure that they are going down the path of looking at your LinkedIn profile, following and seeing what you're doing as well. Do we have questions on some of the resumes before we move forward?
Anyone need to ask? Because I'm I'm letting her know if someone is raising hands. Just let me know. Nothing for now, Michelle.
Okay, perfect. So the next thing we're going to talk about is LinkedIn. And one of the things that I would love for you guys to do, you can take a screenshot of this, because I would love for you guys to just take a look at, if you do have a LinkedIn page, what is your SSI score? So I'm going to take you guys. I just want to make sure you guys can see that LinkedIn is loading for me. Okay. So this is what we call your social selling index. This is available for everyone. And this will allow you to understand where you are ranked as far as your personal brand. So I'm in the top 14% of individuals on LinkedIn. And on my network, I'm in the top 13. But what you'll see is it shows you, this is really interesting, you guys. I actually pulled this up yesterday and it had different numbers. So yesterday, literally my building relationships was at 25. It couldn't get any higher. But you'll see where it'll, and my established brands was higher too. So it does change on a daily basis. But it will talk about, and you'll start to see, like, do I need to engage more? Do I need to change my brand? Need to market the right people? And these are things that you might be playing with or switching with if you're starting to build your personal brand. So this is saying that most of the people in my industry rank 37 out of 100. I rank 58. So I'm moving in the right direction. And then it says I'm down 9% from last week. So it's interesting. Yesterday, when I pulled this up, it says I was in the top 5%. So this is always good, a good key indicator that when you start changing your brand, which, by the way, you can save a PDF of your profile on LinkedIn and make some changes to it. You are not married to it. you could start to look at these numbers to see if you're going up or going down or what needs to change when it comes to your LinkedIn profile. Has anybody checked their SSI score before?
We've actually checked it when we did our online, not face-to-face event.
Yeah.
Specifically about event and that LinkedIn, and that was super interesting for me personally. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if anyone on the chat here had. Please feel free to tell us.
Yeah, I was all inflated last night. I was like, wow, I'm in the top 5%. And then this morning I woke up and all my dreams are crushed. What do we need to change? What happened from last night to this morning?
That's actually what I wanted to ask. So what happened since, just like you said?
Yeah.
So Diana says that's the first time I'm hearing about it. So thank you. Thanks, Diana. And it's really interesting if you check it out yourself, because you'll be surprised. But Michele, that's my question. Like, how come, what happened since yesterday night to today? Because I also see those changes on my SSI. So what does change in the metrics? Again, is it the algorithm? Is it because I skipped posting or commenting or like engaging with a post or two?
Yeah. So the algorithm, which I'm learning, which is pretty cool about this report that came out, is if you post more than 5 times a week, it works against your social selling index score. And the building relationships is how quickly that you respond to messages. So yesterday, and this might be why, I have someone that I've hired that I'm training to respond to messages. And so he went through and did some of the backlog of connections and messaging. So that might be why there was a huge bump in the build relationships piece for me yesterday, and really took me from the top 13% to the top 5%. So even just those tiny little things about how quickly you reply to messages, how quickly you are marketing to the right people. And again, some of this is subjective, right? Because find the right people. What does that mean? If LinkedIn doesn't know who my avatar is or the right person I'm trying to market to, then it won't matter. Or if you have a program that's for, let's say, women returning to work, and then months from now it's college students, let's say, your avatar changes of who you're marketing to, that number's not going to score as high. So some of it's activity, some of it is shares, some of it is likes and commenting. And with comments, if you have to comment more than 5 words with a period or an explanation point, and then it increases your score. So there's tiny little things like that make an impact. But maybe from yesterday to today, if a bunch of people replied to those messages that were replied to, it's just getting back to those, and this could be back at 5% tomorrow. You just don't know, right? But watching it is a really good indicator to kind of show you, what you're experiencing, and then also looking at the insights on your page and seeing how many impressions you have.
So Belinda was telling, I'm just reading because you can't see the chat.
Yeah.
Whoa, just checked my SSI for the first time. Scoring is good overall, but extremely low for one component. Is it good to know where I should be focusing? Fabulous tips.
Yes.
Good to know, yeah.
Yes, 100%, absolutely. And if you do feel like there's an area that you're like, okay, I'm not marketing the right people, then let's look at what your top fold looks like. Let's look at what your branding and the words that you're using. And then the other thing is, you can see here it says find the right decision makers and shorten your sales cycle with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you just do some of the basic free training on LinkedIn, it will show you some of the areas and key components of things that you can do to just improve some of those scores and to just kind of make some small adjustments to start moving in the right direction. I hear some dinging coming in. Is there other comments?
I'm not sure is it from where, but it's not from here. And nobody's typing.
Okay. All right. So I'll put this down then, and we'll get back into what we have been talking about, which is the LinkedIn score. So we're going to talk about this, your brand identity. What makes you unique? So we call this your unique selling proposition. What are you known for? Inside out, outside of a profession and who you are as a human and who you are or you identified with professionally a while ago or who you identify professionally as you do now, and writing down those things and saying, is that the way that I'm portraying myself, whether it is in my resume branding, in my LinkedIn profile, is that coming across consistently in how you're branding yourself? Okay, so we talked about the first thing was your personal brand for the trifecta. The next thing is your job search strategy. So most people don't realize when it comes to marketing yourself, there's many things you can do. The first thing is all passive. So your LinkedIn profile, if you set it up correctly, can bring traffic to you where you literally set it and forget it. You don't have to post if you don't have the time, but I always recommend that you try to post a weekly post or at least a newsletter or an article, just to kind of share some things that you want to be known for as an expert in the industry. For those of that you are working or very, very busy with motherhood and are on the in-between, you can very easily hire someone very reasonably priced as a copywriter just to write articles for you or do research for said articles to start posting and moving you in the right direction. Passive approach is also known as, I'm sure some of you can relate, when you used to post your resume on a job board and then people would reach out to you. This was another part of the passive approach that I think is missed. And people just say, like, I'm only going to look for jobs on LinkedIn. And there are so many other places that you can post your resume to get more visibility, because not everybody, it's expensive to search on LinkedIn as a recruiter. And LinkedIn's smart enough to go, and I've actually been locked out before just teaching people these methods where literally I get locked out and they're like, we see what you're doing. You can't do that. You can pay for LinkedIn Recruiter. And I wasn't even, looking for people. I was just showing people how to look for people, right? So the passive approach is really kind of set it and forget it, and you don't have to nurture it as much. The proactive approach, and this is where we're going to kind of use an analogy here. If you wanted to become a farmer tomorrow and you wanted crop to grow in the spring, the first thing you would have to do is find the right soil, plant a seed, and water it. So the proactive approach is really literally marketing yourself proactively into the industry in organizations that you want to work for. If I said list the top 5 organizations that you want to work for tomorrow, whether you have all of the experience or not, this would be the approach on how to brand yourself to plant those seeds, and you water them. And a lot of times I have about 10% of my clients every month where jobs are created for them based on this approach. And then the reactive approach is pretty obvious, but once I say it, when you see a job that's posted, it has 500,000 applicants, 12 applicants on a job. The reactive approach is if you know somebody there, applying through a referral or applying directly online for the job, but that's usually where people stop. So the reactive approach goes into more steps of what you need to do to actually get seen by that key decision maker instead of leaving it up to the recruiter to make the decision. So these 3 approaches is kind of what moves it forward to either create a job for you that you didn't think was possible, to have more people see you through the passive approach, or how you react to a job posting. And then the final one is interview preparation. So this is where I think it's very interesting. It's a mixed bag. It doesn't matter who I talk to. If you are working, not working, there's an organization, I just like to tell people so you understand, there's an organization called DDI, and they actually go to huge companies, and they're now going to smaller organizations, and they're teaching organizations how to hire basically through a scoring technique. And the premise behind that is they use what's called the STAR technique. Can you provide a situation or a task, an action item, and a result in how you answer questions? So sometimes it doesn't matter if you've been great with interviewing in the past. People, hiring managers, are being taught new techniques in how to score you based on your answer. And if you aren't prepared or understand the structure on how to answer these questions, this is where there seems to be a gap. And now, like AWS or Amazon, they do a great job of prepping you and saying, like, look, we're gonna be interviewing, we want you to answer in the STAR format. But what they don't really tell you is they have 13 guiding principles that they want you to embed into your full STAR answers. And then from there, what they don't teach you is how to ask those really impactful questions. So that's the next level of how to get past and get to the next interview stage. Now, of all the things that I would say I confidently do well, it's the interview preparation. It is 100%. If you want to get into a TikTok, you want to get into a Microsoft, you want to get into an organization where you might not be the most qualified, this is where this piece right here can take you to market yourself and really stack that deck against other people that are interviewing. Now, with that being said, if we don't teach you how to basically brand yourself, so that's the frame of the car, put the tire on the cars, make it look pretty with paint, and we don't teach you the strategy on how to drive the car, you're never going to get to the destination, which is the interview preparation. And that's why I'm wholeheartedly feel very confident that that's why you need those 3 pieces in the trifecta. And then when it comes to what the CCATs are, I'm a little bitter about these, but it's basically organizations that are hiring individuals remotely are using this 15-minute test, 30 questions, where they ask you, like, here's patterns. Pick the next one in the pattern. It's logic, quick math, reading problems. And I will tell you, from a sleep-deprived mother, I've done it several times, and I'm very smart. And I'm like, wow, this is really hard. So one of the things people are starting to do is learning how to take tests, which is something we did in high school and growing up in school. And so I'm fighting with organizations and saying, if you want a creative, if you want someone who's super passionate and isn't working with data every day, these CCATs are not the way to go, but they are out there, they do exist. And those are starting to become barriers. And they're saying, if you're not the 1%, we're not going to hire you. So that's something that I just want you guys to understand where we're going as far as AI goes when it comes to the job search process. Now, when it comes to interview preparation, and I always use this analogy, and some of you on the call have actually experienced this with me before. I always say, close your eyes, stand in front of your sink, like imagine you're in front of your sink, and brush your teeth. And what you'll think about is the way you put the toothpaste, you grab the toothpaste, where it is, how you put the toothpaste on, which hand you're using, where you start to brush your teeth, how you brush your teeth is the exact same way every single day. And that's based off habit. So what most people do to prepare for an interview is they literally research a little bit ahead of time, maybe look up a few example questions, and then they go for the interview. The way that I teach people is that you need to create a habit or a muscle, just like Michael Jordan, if he was training for games or hitting a different shot. It's something that you need to do over repetition. And when you're able to do that, your body is no longer in that fight or flight. You know, when you get those jitters in an interview and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. You're more focused on the fight or flight of answering the question, that all strategy, everything else goes out the window. But if you understand a strategy to answer questions, it's out of habit and you are able to concentrate and strategically answer questions better. And then the final piece is creating those impactful questions and understanding what the needs and the wants of the employer are without going, what are your needs? What are your wants? And then how to double down in your answers that, like, literally they're kind of able to imagine you in that role solving their problems. And most people think after the interview, and maybe we can get some yeses in the chat, how many of you send a thank you email after the interview? I'm sure most people do. Thank you for the interview. This is what I took away from it. but most people don't ask the right questions in an interview to understand the needs and the wants, to impact and improve on their messaging after their interview, so that literally when you're done with your interview, they're chewing on that question while they're brushing their teeth. They're literally thinking about it when they wake up in the morning. It's like, wow, nobody's ever asked me a question like that. And it doesn't matter how many executives, mid-level managers I've worked with. If I ask you, and you've interviewed people before, what are the most impactful questions that you were like, wow, that was a good question? Literally, I think there's been I think I've asked this probably for management training, 10,000 managers, 5 people could tell me like, wow, questions that were asked. So this is where people are leaving a lot on the table for stacking the deck when asking interview questions, and the journey you take them on after the interview that they don't even realize they're on. Do we have questions on this piece? Because this is like where it all stacks up.
Anyone want to ask a question? Please feel free to open your microphones or just cover it in the chat and I can read it. I think we're just grasping all kind of information at once.
It's a lot, right? And that's where I think like you don't know what you don't know. And that's where it does feel like a lot. And that's where, when we had this last training that we did in the spring, we talked about there's different pieces that people don't understand, that when you can put it all together strategically, the impact that it can have to reduce that gap of that job search time.
Correct. No question for now, I think.
Perfect. So just to recap, for the trifecta, you've got your branding, which is your CV, your LinkedIn, your job search strategy, and your interview techniques. So my question is, how many people are feeling just a little bit overwhelmed? Anybody?
I think all of us.
One, just one. Okay.
She said, I think all of us, like we had a couple of hands raising.
Okay. So this is where I just want to share with you, and this is something I've been working with Laura and Nancy on. After we had our initial training just on LinkedIn, we talked about creating an exclusive private women's group for Cloudhoods. Other women can choose to join, but the reason why we created this was specifically for the Cloudhoods amazing women. And we've decided to put together a 8-week live training so that we can digest the bits and pieces of this. Like the first one's, let's get clarity on your career. Let's build your confidence. Here's how you create that dynamic CV. Here's what you need to do on your LinkedIn. So it's very bite-sized pieces. And all of these trainings are going to be available on replay. You'll be given access to resources, templates. It's very easy, plug and play. And then along with that, since I do have some online training access, let's say you are like, hey, I'm in the middle of marketing myself, and that's great. I'm going to go and I might make changes to my CV, but I have an interview next week. So we're providing this on-demand online training that will meet you where you are. And so this happens a lot of times. People will rebrand themselves and boom, they start getting hit with interviews. And they're like, wait, the interview training's not for like another week away or 2 weeks away. So what we've done is we've really incorporated to meet you where you're at by giving you online access all through this year and next year to meet you where you are at in the process of your job search. And that kind of meets in the middle. And then for anybody who needs additional support after that, I do host weekly calls that will be open to all clients that are in the public. So even after this, if you do need help and access and resources and just want to bounce ideas off of or quick review of a CV while in online training, we'll walk through and go through those things. So that's why we've created this amazing program.
Thank you so much. First, before cutting you, because I have Cynthia is raising her hand. Maybe someone needs to ask a question.
No, it's okay. It was from before. No.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, I'll make sure to answer it though if you have it. We'll answer it right after this. We'll go into Q&A and I'll answer it for you. Okay.
We're very excited actually about this partnership with you because we've seen a lot of a huge success after our face-to-face event and the question that we've had received on the app as well. So and I firsthand know how fruitful and how deep you dig in each pillar and each topic of just like you digged in LinkedIn and all the tips that you give. So, and I've seen the difference on my page as well. So I definitely encourage everyone who wants to invest a bit in themselves, and I think this is the best investment that you can do. Ladies, everyone on here on this group, that you really have to invest in yourself. It's really good, and we owe it to ourselves as well. So we're very excited to do, and we're very excited to all the content that we will have on the app as well, all your tips and tricks that will come up in terms of content on the app as well.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like when you left that event, you had a checklist. You knew exactly, I got to do this.
Yeah.
It's very easy, even self-guided, to go through. And that's what I think, most women and men and anybody who has limited amount of time to get through these things. It's very digestible, small pieces to do at a time to get you to where you want to go. So, okay. And then, so this is where I get really, really, really excited. So I didn't realize Zita's picture was going to be this blurry. I swear she's not this pixelated in real life. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of Zita Yarwood. She is a Marshall Goldsmith certified executive coach. She's a neuroscience-based executive coach, life coach. She was ranked LinkedIn's top voice last year for the entire world. And she was ranked 2021 best career coach. She's helped me guide my business, figure out where I want to go that best serves me and makes me happy and brings me joy. She has over 260,000 followers on LinkedIn. And she has agreed, oh my goodness, that she is going to do 2 one-hour sessions of these 8 weeks. And one of them is going to be getting clear on your career.
Nice.
Whether this is making a pivot, whether this is just to simply move forward with branding yourself differently or returning to workforce. She's really going to give you clarity about that. And when we get into that piece, let's say you're like, well, I don't want to work full time. We are literally going to break that down as well. How you can easily, quickly, affordably, you don't need a 30,000 dirham license to brand yourself, to start creating a career for yourself, even with your own business, and make an impact. And then the second one she's agreed to do also is career confidence. And that's going to just really also hone in to, I know one of the things that I was lacking, even just looking for a job and being out of the workforce after being laid off and going back to get my master's degree, is that confidence. So between that interviewing piece and this confidence piece, it's really going to be able to, kick the can forward as far as what you need to do, have tons of clarity, and be super confident in the decision you have moving forward. So like literally cried when I was telling her about this event, and she was like, I'm in. And I was like, what do you mean you're in? She's like, I'm in, I'm doing it. Like, let's see who we can help. And I was like, oh my gosh. So
That's super great news, Michele. Seriously.
I mean, literally, it's hard because I send executives to her all the time. And so this is about 6,000 dirhams of free coaching. Like, it's literally there. So my heart was full. And the other really exciting piece, and I know some people are like, okay, well, that's great. As far as CVs go, like, it's great that you're going to show me how. It's great that you're going to have templates for me. But Trisha Chapman, she's a CV writer and she's a LinkedIn branding expert. She is living and giving in Dubai, recently has moved back to Australia. So we got someone from the UK, we got from Australia, and we've got the American over here. And Trisha is going to really hone in on that CV training, and we'll be doing that together. And she'll also be doing the LinkedIn training. And for those of us that maybe don't want to write those CVs or work on your LinkedIn branding, she will actually do it for you. And so this is where I've blocked off a certain amount of spaces for her, and she is committing the time and the effort to go ahead and move forward with that. But I always will tell you, whenever you're applying for a job, your CV should read very close to the requirements of it. So even if you go forward with writing services, you still want to make sure you understand those foundational pieces so you can make quick changes to market yourself.
Mhm.
Okay. And then, dun. So we're going to have two different things for you. One is going to be a wait list. We're going to be going into training pretty quickly. So one of them is a wait list if you just want to get notified when we do open this. And then the other one is going to be a link that if you are interested in moving forward, it's going to break down what's included, how's included, and for 300 dirhams, you can hold your spot. It'll have all the pricing, all the information in it, which Nancy and Laura can provide for you guys. So I want to open up the questions, but before we do, for those of you that are still here, want to be considered for the giveaway, please just enter your emails below, or Laura and Nancy, you can decide who's still on the call through attendance. And we are going to be giving away a 30-minute coaching call, and then another person's going to get access to all of my online courses for the next and through 2023.
Nice. So go ahead, enter your emails now. I can just copy them and send it to Michele, whoever wants to be in the giveaway. And after that, before the question and answer as well, I would love for everyone if they can open their camera so I can take a group picture, if you don't guys mind. I'm starting to copy the emails, so give me a second. Right. Oh.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys could see. I've been still sharing my screen, and I feel like if you guys can see my desktop right now, you'll understand how my brain works.
All right, just a second. I think I have this last one. Sorry guys, I'm just copying them in a Word format so I can send it to her.
And then Laura and Nancy, I'll let you guys you can just randomly pick.
Oh, I will let it, no, I will leave this to you. I will send it to you now.
Okay, you sending me in an email?
Yes, just now.
Okay, perfect. And then also, hello. I want to get some questions. I do see some familiar faces on this masterclass, so thank you for joining. I'm open. I want to answer any questions that you guys have because I think it's super important to provide clarity on where we all are in different places, right, in our careers. Does anybody have any questions? Let me open up the chat. Let's see.
Send you the email, but actually, since we stopped sharing, we can see it all in the screen. On the screen, Can we just first of all, can we open our cameras so I can open all of you and take a group picture? That would be nice, if you can, if you want. I'm just trying to figure out how to show everybody.
Oh, look at all those faces!
I'm
not
driving.
just an avatar.
Exactly.
No.
Right? I'm just trying to see how can I see all of them on my screen? Help if anyone knows. I'm just seeing one screen and those small ones. Oh, wait, no. Anyone knows? No? No? You can talk to me.
No.
No.
But I'm on the phone, so maybe I can take a screenshot and send it to you.
Try.
I have all the faces.
Do you have everyone on one screen?
Or
yeah.
more options?
Not everyone, but just like 8
Yeah, Hillary, say, I'm talking.
Yeah, under more options, with the three dots, there's the third option, which is change layout.
Oh,
That might work. Does that work for you? Does that work?
awesome. Thank you, Hillary.
Of
Oh,
course.
yeah. Oh, nice. I see now so many faces. Oh, all right. Cool. So I'm going to take a nice screenshot. Hi, everyone. Again. All right. Oh, one more because we have someone. Maria just joined. Nice. Amazing. So please feel free to ask all your questions. I love when I see faces. You guys, you have to put faces. We ladies are always like hiding behind this camera. No, feel free to just put however, So go ahead and ask. Yeah, Diana has a question.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you to you and Nancy. Wonderful session. And of course, a great insight as to how to start. And my biggest hurdle whenever I'm just starting to rethink of reviving. I've been here in Dubai for almost 8.5 years, not worked. Back in India, I have an experience of almost 10 years. And I come from a different background. So I do not want to go back to the same fields. I want, of course, the same work-life balance and to be more involved in kids' lives. And I always had this question that how do I explain the gap that I've had in my career, and I'm sure, and there is nothing really substantial for a recruiter in a recruiter's eyes that I've done. For example, I've not done any certification, I've not done any part-time jobs or things like that. So how do you explain and how can we make it sound more valid? Being involved in your kids' lives is an important part for me. So how do I make it more, sound it more valid for a recruiter? So that is something that is always there in my mind. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is on LinkedIn, I don't know if you guys know, but a feature they added this year is that you can actually add a career gap and you can talk about what it was for. Is it to raise your children? Is it due to an ailing spouse? Is it due to a family member? Did you go back to college? There's so many different reasons, and you can actually embed. And I always say, not only just account for that career gap, but talk about what you did. I mean, if you've been staying home with your kids, you've been managing time. Like there's so many transferable skills of the stuff that you like. The other day I was like, travel agent, yes. Part-time doctor, yes. Caregiver, transportation, organizer, like literally all the things that we do besides hashtag being a superhero. All of those things are transferable skills. So what I would say is if you're switching industries or switching fields on top of that, what are those transferable skills that when you start looking at, you're like, I have that, but in a different way. And then in regards to marketing yourself, I would put that you're open to work, but keep it private for recruiters. And I would include the different titles that you're looking for. But when you're specifically marketing yourself into an organization, that cover letter is really going to reduce any assumptions, right? So things to keep in mind is if you haven't had a job in the UAE and you potentially might need a degree for a work permit, then you need to start looking in the attestation and legalization of your documents. So if I see you haven't worked here, you're wanting to switch industries, I figure I can make it work and that you'll fit for the role, but I know I'm going to have to wait, 8 to 12 weeks to get your legalization and attestation done. Then I'm already like, she's not the fit because I got to fill this job now, right? So all the things that you can do to reduce those assumptions in the cover letter, like, hey, I see you're looking for someone with this experience. I have this, this, and this, and this, and here's how it would provide and support for this role. I don't require, sponsorship. My stuff's attested. I'm available, within 2 weeks, whatever those things are. You're just bridging the gap of assumptions someone could make about you. Same with marketing yourself directly to those hiring managers. I would be doing the same thing. So when you say you're not going to be doing what you did before you left the workforce, what are some projects that you could do? I don't know what your field is or what you want to get into, where you could get some of that experience, and even approaching people that are in this industry doing what you want to be doing, reaching out to them and saying, hey, I'm getting back to the workforce. I want to be doing these things. Can I just have a 15-minute conversation with you via Zoom? Can I ask you some questions? What would be your suggestions for me? Are there groups I could join? You'd be amazed at how many people, men, women, doesn't matter, would be so invested to give you that 15 minutes. Make it easy. Give them a Calendly link. Let them pick it. And then always follow up with a really sincere thank you letter. And those type of individuals will be your sponsors to help you get things that you didn't realize were possible. We're going to start posting more things because it's interesting. The more women that I help get back to work are like, this is such an untapped market. I'm not even looking for people that are unemployed. I'm looking for women that want to return to the workforce because they're hungry, they're driven, they know what they want, they're really good at managing their time, and they're going to do things on their own terms. And I'm okay with that because I know at the end of the day, if they're making the commitment to come back, they're going to just crush it. So I have women that go back that like, I'm only hiring women that want to return to the workforce. So find that niche, build your brand around it. And if you are switching industries, start doing an article post every month. And there are women on this group that are doing that now. And that is, they are literally planting the seeds for the fruits of their labor.
Very nice.
Thank you, Michelle. That was excellent. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyone else? Please feel free to ask. Yeah, Maria, here you go.
Yeah, would you be able to give us some concrete tips on increasing the confidence, or for people that are not good at explaining what they do? So I know, for example, I'm good at my job. I work in finance, I work with numbers. You give me any Excel sheet or anything, I'll make it work for you. But I fail to deliver that message to the interviewers during interview. I believe because of maybe confidence or communication gaps. I'm not sure where I'm failing, but any concrete tips on how to increase my confidence and how to boost that speaking skills, where I won't be shy and to explain everything in a right way that will deliver the proper message to the interviewer.
Sure. Okay, so this is multifold. The first thing I always say when it comes to back to this, and it's not just confidence, it's cultural. So we're all raised a certain way of what we should and should not talk about. And it's boasting and it's bragging. That's usually the first thing that this comes down to. And the second fold is confidence. So I always want to tell you, if you've done it, it's not boasting and bragging, it's fact. So laying that out in a strategical way to answer those questions helps you. So for you and in your field, I would go to behavioral situational questions on Google. I would start looking at those questions. I would look at the STAR format to find a way to strategically start answering those questions. And that's what we get into in Back to Business as well. We're going to have a full live about it. And then there's literally like, I have a panel interview. I've learned these foundational pieces in a panel interview, and it will walk you through all of those things that will boost your confidence. But a lot of it goes back to that muscle memory. You have, like, literally, you're good at finance. If I ask you to do macros and your unique selling proposition is like, I can go in, I can see the numbers, I can see where there's a gap, and I can tell you what you need to improve on. That's your USP. That's what I'm known for. But when it goes to articulating that, you haven't, like, it's going back to Pilates. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt to walk those stairs. So until you build that muscle through practice, it won't feel comfortable. Yes. But you can get to that point. And then it's all about, and Nancy knows this because we've talked about this with that muscle memory and that strategy. The way that I teach it is very much strategic. I don't say go through all these questions. Pick 2 a day. Work on those. The next day, pick 2 more. But literally, once you finish answering your questions per day, read those next questions, ponder on them, think about them, of what would add the most value for the person that's interviewing you. And then again, you sell yourself, but then you're not asking those questions. So it's multifold of the things: cultural, building your confidence through that habit, and then also just being one of the things we work on. Write down those top 3 questions. You're like, ugh. If they ask me this, and I know this is gonna be a lot for the women that aren't working at the moment, it's like, ugh, yeah, but tell me why I should hire you, right? Right. So what are those top 3 questions like you absolutely cringe answering, and like work through them, like just a little bit every day. And then it comes to a point where it's just a habit. Like if somebody like go ahead and poke the bear. Ask me this question, because you're no longer in this fight or flight response. You've actually strategically found a way to answer these questions. Is that helpful, Maria?
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone else? I think I've sent you the email with the list of, we had a lot of who left. We were on 23, but I'm not sure if because I've told them like, put your camera on, they, they just disappeared. Like, no camera on. I don't
Not
know.
me. Not me.
It's not a must. It was just like for a nice picture instead of circles and initials. I just, meanwhile, while you're checking your emails, I just wanted to say like, it's not that I'm talking about firsthand. The class, the masterclass, I'm very excited to take also the masterclass that you're gonna have, because it's not like I personally am searching for a job now. Obviously, I just want to grab this fundraising that I'm doing for Cloudhoods. However, I'm just giving you ladies a tip of advice that you always learn a lot in this masterclass, and on a personal level, for your career, for your personal self-esteem as well, and to know your personal worth as well. So it's not only about the job, it's about also a bit more, which I think is something very useful to look into it. And I believe that it's not an advertising, I swear, but I believe that the price that you did for Cloudhoods as a discount is also something that, if I want to break it down by my grocery shopping per month, is something that I can put, especially now with the way, like, no, but I mean, like, it's something that I can put to invest in myself, because I'm gonna see, like, I'm planting the seed for later on. But that's my 2 cents. I just wanted to share with them. You can go ahead and pick the winners.
Perfect. And Nancy, one of the other things I will do share with you, and then we'll answer this last question.
Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting how many, like, even clients I have now, they're like, hey, you know, my husband, he's an executive, he's going to start looking in March. And I was like, why are we not talking now?
Yeah.
Because what if that, like, literally that perfect job just comes out of the ether and ends up in your inbox for some random reason, and your branding's not ready? Are you going to be like, are you going to react to that and have what you think they need, or will you have put the strategies in place to market yourself?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, again, these things are what you nurture. So for people that are looking, and literally the best time to look for a job is between now and like end of November, and then literally everything to just crush it in January. These are like putting all those strategic, it's just like planning for a vacation. Like, you're not buying your ski gear, you know, 2 weeks before you go skiing and planning your trip. Like, you plan it in advance, right?
Yeah.
So same thing. And those are the people that are really going to start building those foundational pieces. I don't know if she's still on the call, but we have someone that is a client of mine who we've started working with, and we've helped brand them and get clarity on their resume. They're, you know, they're working now, and they're on call to work part-time, but going back, getting that education or certificate that they need, taking the test, and literally starting those articles, building that brand. And I'm like literally watching it, and it's like eating popcorn. I'm like, yes, I see what you're doing. I see it. You know? And so, like, that's the whole invested piece of it too. And then I know we have a question. Before we answer this question, let's go. I'm just gonna run my finger over these, and I'm gonna stop. Okay, so Grace Nasser gets the 30-minute session.
Grace Nasser or Grace Firas. Oh, that's nice.
Then Helen Arif.
Oh, Cynthia. Cynthia is also Cynthia. Elena Reed.
Perfect. So that's going to be the year access to the online courses.
Oh, wow.
And we'll have some more we're going to release in probably the next week or two.
That's very generous of you, Michelle. Thank you so much. I was personally surprised by the giveaway. I didn't know about them. So,
thank you.
And it's nice that we have also not only people from Dubai, we have people from Abu Dhabi, Jessie from Italy. So that's really nice. We had a question from Reem.
Yes.
Yeah, Reem, go ahead before we wrap it up.
Hello. Hi,
Hi, Reem.
how are you? Sorry, my camera is off because I was not feeling well today, but I wanted to join this session. Actually, I joined it a bit late, so maybe I have missed few. I'm sure I have missed few information. I have a question about when you do the interview. Definitely going to an interview, like it's a bit something we get nervous about. But for me, I'm the most mostly nervous when it comes to talking about the salary. Is it something we should ask for? Because they tell us what salary do you expect, or we should ask them to offer. So ethically, what is the right thing to do regarding this point?
Sure, generally. So there's different times that people get asked about your salary. One is on the initial phone call when they reach out, like, hey, we're qualifying you. Also, what are your salary requirements? The other time is during an interview. Generally, we don't see that during the interview, like, unless it's with the final individual, them talking about your package or what you're interested in. They're leaning more into your qualifications. So the way that I always recommend, someone has their mic on. Maybe it's Reem. Maybe turn your mic off because I hear the feedback real quick. You can turn.
Should I?
Yeah,
Okay,
just turn
I will mute my phone while you're talking.
Perfect. So what I would suggest is that it's one of those things about how to strategically answer that question. So you either have a range and you say, I'm looking for something between this range and this range. However, until I have a better understanding of the qualifications of the job, my responsibilities, and what I'm going to be doing, it makes it really hard for me to give you a solid number. I also don't know what the additional package involves, right? So until you have that understanding, you can't really give them a concrete amount. So sometimes you give a range. Sometimes you're like, hey, great question, open for negotiation. I want to be paid, fair market rate. I do have a range of what I'm looking for, but until I hear and understand what the qualifications are, what you're offering as far as additional benefits, it makes it hard for me to give you that range. Also, just want to make sure I click for this. It's more to me than just a salary. I want to be challenged. I want to know that this is the next thing that's best in my career. And until we explore this process further, it makes it hard for me to negotiate that. And what you'll find out sometimes is during an interview process, what they've listed on the job description and what they want are two different things. And it's usually more than what's listed on the job description. So sometimes if there's a salary gap, you can go back and be like, hey, I'm really interested in this role, but you're asking for something that's two pay grades higher than what you have budgeted for. So that's where you don't want to have to absolutely give them a number, and always go back to them and be like, what is the range you have for this role? So if they have enough guts to ask you, ask it right back. And like, as a recruiter, you're like, oh, crush me. They're not giving me a number, but they're perfect. So I'm going to move them forward anyways. Right. So that's where you just it's a delicate dance. But if they're not giving you any information, then you're like, I'm negotiable, but you should have a range. And that's not going to change just based on that opportunity. I hope you find that.
Yeah, exactly. Because someone has approached me a few days ago and they sent me just a form to fill. And in this form, I need to fill the salary I asked for. Like we haven't even met. I don't know still the qualification of the job, the working hours, the terms.
Yeah.
I found it very weird.
Yeah, sometimes I even put 00,000.
Yeah.
Then I'll reply back and be like, hey, filled out your form. We can discuss salary after I have all this other information, right? And especially here, like I want to kick through that glass ceiling. You don't leave anything on the table. Don't leave anything on the table.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where you're going to really start stacking that deck in that interview.
Mm-hmm.
Like they should be going by the end when you're like, oh, and this is what I'm looking for. They're like, in their head, they're thinking that's it. And you're going to solve my problems. Right. But you're like, that's at the, the top or tier of what you were looking for. So
great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I think
I saw there was another.
Yeah, we're gonna take the last question just to respect everybody's time. I'm happy that it took so much time, which is positive. We can do something again next time. We have Manal Maleh asking for a question.
Yes.
Oh, we can't hear you, Manal. It's cutting. No.
Okay, just a second, please. Let me try. Yeah, let me try something else. Can you hear
A
me
bit
now?
better.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, great. Okay, so I have a question. Basically, I used to work up until almost 4 years ago. You know, when I had my second child, was pregnant, you know, then I had kids. I have two kids. And now, of course, I feel like so wanting to go back, you know, to work, make my own money. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really feel hungry for that. However, I just don't know. Um, Again, okay, I used to work in, you know, corporate world, you know, doing general HR, and I just don't know that I really want to go back to like office work. I just don't know that. I mean, the industries I've been in were not the most that I really would say I thrive in. So I do want to work, but I'm not sure I want to go back to what I was doing. And I don't know where to go from there. I just don't know what to do or what else I can do. And, you know, I surely have some strength like everyone else in the world. When you look into yourself, you know that you have strength and you have weaknesses, but I just don't know how to, you know, brainstorm myself and then make a list and narrow it down. I just don't know. Honestly, I just don't know where to go from there.
Right. Were you here in the beginning when we talked about setting your intention for the day? Things you could do, the things that you would just dream, like literally tomorrow, if I could go, okay, for example, I knew an actress, she moved here, she had two kids, she's not getting an acting job here, loves fashion. She decided, like, I like to write. So she literally started working for a magazine, offered to work for free to write and feature for fashion. Doesn't have an experience in it, just loves it. She did it for free for 3.5 months. They offered her a full-time job.
Yeah.
So this is where I want you to, like, literally just, if you can take a 30-minute coffee for yourself and sit down uninterrupted, no phone, no nothing, and be like, if I could just all day, every day plan virtual events, or if I could all day, every day, and really like lean in and tap into that. And we're going to get into that career clarity in one of the first weeks with Zita, where she's going to walk through those pieces to kind of feel like what you're leaning into. And a lot of times, a lot of things that we're doing every day, like there's a mom I know, and she's like, I mean, I just want enough to pay for my gym membership, and I want to still be able to go. Like, I just want something in between, right?
Yeah, I
And
get
so
it.
it's just finding that piece of where you are and connecting the two. And we do go through that a little bit more to find clarity. And also, that might not mean going back to work. It might mean that if you have your own visa through your spouse, for 1,500 dirhams, you can get a DED trader license for certain things, and you can start offering that service. And you would be shocked once you start putting yourself out there into your network, how many people are like, oh my God, I would love to do that. So although you don't know what it is now.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you just have to kind of tap into what do you want? Like, okay, the other thing is assessing your time, which we're going to get into as well. Here's the actual realistic time I have for myself, for my family, what I actually realistically can do for a career right now. And what can I do to create a career around that and the things that I particularly enjoy and the qualifications I have or can add to get to that point. And that's where I think you'll find a little bit more clarity, because we're all starting to think about, well, if I do this, I gotta, spend time on this. If I do this, so like getting clarity on all of those things, I think would help you to move forward to make kind of a final decision. Happy to have like an introductory call if you want to just walk through it a little bit more in detail.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Very helpful. Thanks.
Oh, Nancy, you're faster than I am. I was just getting ready to do that. So the links that are here, the first one is to reserve a discounted seat. So if you go to that, it's going to break down our program and the pricing. And it's for 300 dirhams. It will hold your seat. It expires tomorrow. And essentially what that is it's just allowing you to get a 20% discount on the program that we're going to be doing. And then if you're like, well, I'm interested, but I want to know more. And I want to know when carts open for the program and want to see the different payment options as well, then you can just join the wait list and add your email, and we will be notifying everybody probably in the next 48 to 72 hours when our carts open again. I'm beyond excited, and it's an honor to work with Cloudhoods. It's an honor.
Don't forget to mention that you come from Cloudhoods, because we have a special discount for you guys. And again, on behalf of Cloudhoods, for Cloudhoods itself, please do reach out, send us your suggestion, what you would like to see more. If you have something specific you want to do with Michele or other, feel free to email us at hello@cloudhoods, whatever you want to see, tackle, have more on the app. We're all ears and open for suggestion and even constructive criticism. So we're here for you, for this community, and this is exactly what we do. Thank you so much for having everyone here and for your time, and even for extending half an hour. This is such a pleasure. This shows that you really guys are want to invest in yourself, even in everything. Thanks, Michele, for this fruitful talk. We're super happy to have you as always on Cloudhoods. Stay tuned on the app, please. You can download the app, stay tuned on the app. You can always ask our expert on the app as well. She can always get back to you publicly or privately. You can also discuss together, and we'll stay tuned for our next events.
Sounds great. Thank you guys again for having me, and we'll try to open a little live Q&A on Friday if there's any additional questions in regards to the program. And I'm excited to answer any additional questions on the platform. Looking forward to seeing you guys in person in the program, and also just Nancy, thank you again for the opportunity.
My pleasure. Our pleasure.
Thank you so much, Michele. It's been really great.
Thank you so much.
Look
Thank
at those
you, thank you.
intentions. Look at those intentions.
Yeah.
Focus on them, read them, and see how that correlates to where you are and where you want to go. So I'm excited, you guys.
Thanks again, Michele. It's always a pleasure. Thank you. Bye, ladies. Very happy to see you here. Very happy to see the new faces as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Sorry, Nancy, I'm just a bit late in asking a question. Can I quickly ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to know, if this is recorded, is it possible to get a copy of it?
We will definitely. This is exactly why we recorded, because we will put it as a content on the app, and it will stay. So you're gonna have the material to get back to it for sure.
Oh, great! Because I missed a little bit in the middle, so that would be great. Thank you so much.
No worries. No
Thank
worries.
you. Thanks, Michele. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. I'm gonna have to close the. Bye, Michele. I'll close so I can record it.
Bye, Nancy.
Bye.